Welcome to the Joe Hoff Show. Here we are. It's Holy Thursday, the week of the Holy Week leading up to Easter here. So I hope you're having a great day. God bless you, and God bless this country and all that we do. Let's pray together and praise Jesus. And we're going to share a couple of clips on that even during the show today, related topics there. So tomorrow being Good Friday as well. Should be some really we're going to try to do some real spiritual uh, shows here today and tomorrow anyways, but there's a lot to talk about as well, so we're gonna cover some of that. um I saw this one piece, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I love this guy. He's Peter St. Onge. He's a professor, his PhD, and he certainly knows economics, and I really enjoy what he has to say. He's always honest. He's always telling it like it is, and the numbers for President Trump are great. We're facing this regime media that's like a socialist, communist, Maoist, fascist regime. That's what we have now, and we found out that it's been being paid by entities like USAID. We found out that, for example, New York Times, Politico, AP, and many others, I'm sure, are I believe all of them, getting their millions from USAID. Got 50 billion, that entity, 50 billion. And they used it to destroy America and really, I think, destroy this world. Sick, crazy stuff, and embezzle and steal a lot too. There's a lot of theft, is what we're finding on everything. Just massive theft. Any of these projects that make no sense, it's because they're not really projects. They're embezzling techniques, and I don't think the money. I think the money's going to people's pockets. Probably is such garbage. Anyways, that's what we learned, and we have been. Trump's been nailing that with Doge. It's just thank the Lord Jesus today for the election of President Trump and this incredible team. We're going to cover some of that today too. But so let's start off with the good news on the economy, and this is that Professor St. Onge, and he's great. And listen to what he has to say here.
Inflation is now nearly zero under Donald Trump, down from 5.7% annualized in Joe Biden's final inflation report. It's one heck of a move in 2 months. What is driving it? So last month, the Bureau of Labor Statistics dropped new inflation numbers for the month of March, as in before the tariffs. This was Trump's second inflation report card, and it was even better than the first. Overall inflation actually dropped on the month thanks to crashing energy prices, and even core inflation, which excludes energy, came in at an annualized rate of just 0.7%. That brought year-on-year inflation down to 2.4 from 2.8 the previous month, and it brings Trump's average inflation rate to 1% even, compared to Biden's final number of 5.7. Meanwhile, new producer prices also came in. These measures what companies pay, at a 4-year low, also with a monthly decline and a 0.7 annualized on core. Now that's down from 20% annualized in Biden's final number. Rarely has inflation dropped so hard so fast, so what did it? Energy was the star, dropping 2.5% on the month. That's a 1/4 drop annualized. Gasoline actually dropped over 6% in a single month. There were some other drops in medical, pharmaceuticals, and travel, along with a pleasing drop in used car prices. I've been using those as a proxy for self-deportation since departing illegals flood the used car market, and they dropped about 0.7% on the month, which is about 9% annualized, a decent clip. The rest of it was a mixed bag. Flat for shelter, houses, and rent. Prices fell for fruits, vegetables, and bread, but rose for meat and eggs. This was before Trump brought down egg prices with one cool trick of stop killing chickens, so it was mainly energy. Now that's a combination of increased production here and overseas, along with slowing economic growth in China even before the tariffs. I mentioned in recent videos how China's economy has been in trouble from overcapacity and mountains of bad debt, which is part of why Trump's trade war is hitting them so hard. So what's next? Brought to you by Untamed.com. March was the last inflation number before Trump's big tariffs. Even after he trimmed most of the tariffs to 10%, China is still facing a 125% tariff wall. So in the near term, this will hit everything where Chinese imports are a big share. Trump exempted cell phones, computers, and semiconductors, which are about a third of Chinese imports. That leaves clothes and toys, furniture and household goods, construction materials, tools, manufacturing inputs from chemicals to batteries. These come to about $350 billion, possibly $500 billion once you include re-exports of Chinese goods through Vietnam and Mexico. So that would in theory be a point or two one-time hit to inflation. But of course, if Chinese socks or electric drills are twice the price of India, the inflation's a lot lower. Importers just change countries. That means that near term, tariffs are probably a couple tenths of a percent on inflation. How long depends how fast importers can switch to other countries, how much inventory they have in the meantime, and how quickly domestic replacement can stand up new factories when and if the tariff dust settles. That all brings us back to what is fundamentally driving both inflation and reindustrialization: federal spending, the red tape and taxes that come along for the ride. If Trump and Congress can fix that, inflation will stay low even with jumbo tariffs. All Americans can start making stuff again. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
Man, that guy's great. I just love him. It's great news. You can hear it. It's just great news. I know there's some people that are really scared what's going to happen here to their business if they're really relying upon China. Hang in there. Hang in there. Um, hang in there. Let's we're all in this together. It's a million times better than Joe Biden as he was destroying this country. So just remember that. And we certainly appreciate your concerns. We'll figure it out. We Americans can do it. We're the smartest people out there. I used to work overseas, and we had a 35% tax rate. Our competitors from Europe were at 20, 21, 2, 3%. Every deal we wrote, we had to somehow come up with like at least 12% bottom line because of taxes. We did it. We figured out how to do it. We had great products and we sold a lot of business overseas. So Americans are in geniuses. Now let's just leave it at that. We can figure this out. We got a lot of faith in all of you. So great news on the economy. Big stories about this individual that was sent down to El Salvador. He's a gangbanger and apparently a wife beater, just a horrible individual. And he had been arrested and sent down there, maybe even before. Now he's been sent down there, and the left wants him back. Anyways, here's a clip giving you an idea of what's really going on. Anyways, take a look.
I just want to say that as a mother and as an American citizen, the president and our entire team, and I hope people in this room are grateful for your willingness to come here and your request to share your daughter's story. And I think the country hears you loud and clear. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Patty or for me? No?
I have a question.
No? Anybody? Okay. We'll see you all later. The president will be at his dinner later this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry for your
loss.
Thank you. Please tell the truth. Exactly. Tell the truth.
Yes.
Tell how violent it really is. This is about protecting our children. It's more than just politics or votes or just anything. It's about national security, protecting Americans, protecting our children. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
That chokes you up. That beautiful woman lost her beautiful daughter to an illegal and was murdered, brutally murdered. So pretty sick stuff. CNN and the rest of the mainstream media got a couple clips here. CNN looks like they're changing their narrative because Trump's team came out and said, yeah, this guy was in my whatever. He's a gangbanger from El Salvador. Why are we showing empathy for him when we've got moms like that who've lost their children? I mean, really, what's going on? Where's your priorities? Even CNN's waking up to this. You can see their pivot in one of these latest gatherings, gaggles there at CNN. Watch this.
I think it is a political issue. I also think it's a national security issue. Prince George's County in 2019, their gang unit determined that Garcia was an MS-13 gang member. His wife in 2021, the wife that's now giving lengthy testimonies about how great he is, said that he's a serial abuser, and she has a ton of photos to showcase said abuse. I agree, due process is absolutely important. We want to maintain that, but I think there's absolutely enough here to send this guy somewhere else. One, he's already broken the law. We've already established that. Now you do have evidence suggesting that he was a member or is a member of MS-13. He's also a serial abuser. This is not the type of individual I don't think any one of us would want in our country. He should be deported.
But respectfully, Sir Michael, we can't make it about Kilmar. Like, that's just one person.
But that's the case we're talking about.
That is, but I guess if we look at the macro and not the micro and just look at the process of this, because he's not the only person there. There were they indiscriminately rounded up people and deported them. We also saw in the news this week, maybe it was last week, it's been a long year this week, but the Massachusetts attorney who got the letter saying that you have 7 days to leave the country. This administration has already proven that there are flaws in the system, and they are randomly deporting people without due process. That's not specific to him. That should be specific to all of us.
There's CNN caring about illegal aliens and their due process, while mothers with children that have been murdered don't get a lot of airtime on that show, that's for sure. They'd be certainly more, I think, watched for sure if they would show some empathy for these people that are facing absolute life-changing events because of these terrorists. So terrorist monsters, gangbangers that Joe Biden opened the door to. God knows how many more here. That's the big concern. God only knows. I tell you who's been great on all of this is Stephen Miller. He again.
Stephen.
House. Take a look at this.
Is the president going to ask for him to be returned to the United States or not? Like, yes or no?
First of all, it's not a question for me to answer, but I think that the assumption that underlies the question is what needs to be corrected, which is that there was no mistake that was made. He was sent. So what? Let me ask you, what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking.
No, it's important to know. You're asking a lot of questions. You are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
What does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really
you've been
the
writing.
Supreme Court,
I'm talking now. You need to stop. I'm talking now. Does any of you?
Why was it unanimous?
You're done. Does any of you know the answer to the question? Does any of you? You've been talking about it for days.
Would deport him again, no?
He would be arrested.
Okay.
He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you have to find a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying? Like, do you understand our immigration laws at all?
God, he is so good. He knows what he's talking about, and he just makes these, wacky reporters just look stupid. It's just fantastic. He's a bright guy, very great, and there you go. Now, at the same time, you've got this idiot senator from Maryland, Holland, who went down there. Von Holland went down to El Salvador. He was hoping to speak with the president. I guess he was hoping to bring this gangbanger back to him in Maryland, I guess. I mean, what is this? What is this concern for terrorist MS-13 actors over Americans. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And I think most of Americans are on board with this. When you think it through, this is so stupid what this guy did. But anyways, here he is down in El Salvador. Take a look.
Is just a gross violation of basic human rights and human decency. And, I asked the vice president if I came back next week, whether or not I could go visit Gilmar. And the answer was no, he couldn't guarantee that. I said, look, I may be the first member of Congress here, the first senator, but I can assure you more will be coming. And you cannot continue to keep this man locked up in this worst prison in El Salvador.
Who is this guy? I mean, really, who is this? Who thinks this way? This is not American. Who is he? He's going down to El Salvador to try to say, get me this guy. You can't put him in this. Who is he to say that to another country? This guy is a monster. Why is this senator going down there trying to protect this monster who rightly belongs there? He doesn't belong in the U.S. He's an illegal citizen here. He's not an American. He's not legally here. What is wrong with this guy? Does any of this make sense? I got to tell you, I think our elections are so damn broken that idiots like that win elections. And if it's the vote were really up to the American people in some of these states like Maryland, I don't think these people would get 20% of the vote. That's insane. That guy's insane. Just crazy. Just crazy. So this is what we're dealing with now. They're having a cow about one guy that got sent down to El Salvador who's a monster, a gangbanger. His wife reported that he beat her and all sorts of stuff. And he's been deported down there legally. He's a terrorist because a member of the gang that's been deemed a terrorist organization. President Trump did everything right. I believe the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in Trump's favor. You even get 3 wacky liberal judges and Judge Roberts on board with that. So, I mean, what's the argument here? Seriously. If you're believing that this Van Hollen, if you believe what you're doing is right, there's something really, really warped and wrong. I guess if you believe that you want to destroy this country, that you want to put foreign terrorists above U.S. citizens, well, then I guess it makes perfect sense. Unbelievable. By the way, jumping back to tariffs here for a minute, and I saw this earlier. This is apparently there's some unrest in China right now. Don't know how widespread it is. I haven't heard much about it. But here's a piece from China. People are trying to say that U.S. economy, this is the thing that grabs me. Why is our media not reporting at all on China, at all on how this is going to affect them, at all about President Trump finally standing up to this communist regime overseas? Why? Why is nobody talking about it? Are they being paid off by China? Is China running our media? At times, it certainly feels that way. Why are they supporting ending of tariffs when it just helps America? It doesn't make sense to me as well. Take a look at this.
Right now, their country's falling apart. People have not been paid in 6 months, these factory workers down there. People are burning down factories, dozens of factories all over the country because people are fed up. They're not getting paid. China is falling apart from the inside out. They're trying to maintain this face.
Yeah, do you think that those internal tensions that they're facing could threaten the regime?
Absolutely. I mean, when people are starving, when they have no money, you're going to lose the government. Like, you can't have an unstable base like that. He's fighting a war on the outside and a war on the inside.
Well, don't you think that would incentivize Xi to want to make a deal with the United States as fast as possible?
Yeah, you would think that, but that's not how China works. It's all about saving face. They have to preserve that image that China is rock solid.
Because if they were willing to sacrifice on the pride, they would make a deal with the United States. We would lower barriers reciprocally, bilaterally, and probably both countries
would benefit.
would do better as a consequence. But you say pride stops that, but then on the other side of that pride is the realism of these challenging internal economic dynamics. What do you think gives first?
China is a communist country, first and foremost. You cannot give the people too much power in that situation. The state is holding it together with an iron fist. And if they start trying to make compromises here and compromises there, that immortal, implacable facade that they have just starts eroding. Hopefully all this sets up a scenario where we can have a fall of the Berlin Wall, a fall of the Great Wall.
I tell you, I haven't heard anybody sharing that. That's some amazing stuff from OAN Matt Gaetz there. Fantastic news reporting there for sure. I have not heard about that. As you know, I lived in Hong Kong for years, been in and out of China. I don't know how many times. I've done audits in communist China. Wow. And it is true. Trump did this last time. This is why they came in and pushed, I believe, the COVID. I wrote at the time, if they're doing this intentionally, it's because Trump has crushed them economically. And what he's doing right now is putting pressure on that regime. And that regime, they're saying, cannot hold power if everybody's broke and starving. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And speaking about President Trump, I want to play this short clip here. This is President Trump last night at an Easter prayer service at the White House. God bless President Trump. Here's a short clip from that.
Nearly 2,000 years ago, during the sacred week, the living Son of God entered Jerusalem in triumph. Soon after, the Savior of mankind, who brought truth and light into the world, was betrayed, arrested, and tried, beaten, and nailed to a cross and crucified. For our sake, he gave up his life, and as the very great Reverend Billy Graham once said, God proved his love on the cross when Christ hung and bled and died. It was God saying to the world, I love you. Those are beautiful words from a great man, Franklin, right? A great man, Franklin's incredible father. I went to Yankee Stadium with my father many years ago to watch your father.
It's amazing. Billy Graham did these revivals around the country. I've read the book Unbroken about a World War II hero, an Olympian, and who his life was saved at a revival of Billy Graham's. George W. Bush claims that his life got turned around when he met Billy Graham, and now here's President Trump mentioning that as well. That's really some powerful stuff, especially as we're looking at this upcoming Easter weekend. So really powerful. And so we got that, and we're really blessed, and we're going to keep our spiritual being. But I got to tell you, Steve Bannon is saying something that a lot of us are wondering, what's going on? Where are the indictments? There's even this thing I saw Ann Vandersteel put up. It was the Gulf, not the Gulf of America. It's the Gulf of where are the indictments? And anyways, here's a short clip from Bannon asking that question that all of us are asking right now. So take a look.
But this is why, talk about action, Jim Jordan, why are you not heeding what Mike Davis, the viceroy, why have we not started impeachment hearings on this guy?
Don't know.
Because now he's got a criminal, just because he's got a criminal, it should have started weeks ago. This is why you start things. People should be frustrated. It's the same old Republican, let's just kind of go along to get along. The lack of action, the lack of spine, the lack of steel, the lack of doing something.
I tell you what, General Flynn, I saw him, and Vandersteel, myself. There's a few of us saying, hey, we need to get these people indicted. We need to move much faster. If you don't have the right people, get the right people there. And, if we need to be barking at the Senate to get these people approved, let's do that. But let's get the right people in there, and let's get this going. I mean, you got Bongino and Kash Patel. We want indictments. We want these people put behind bars. We want this country protected for the future and for our children. We cannot allow this stuff to happen. So anyways, we're going to take a quick break. We got an incredible guest with us right after this. And she's been with us before. Can't wait to introduce her again. We'll be back right after this.
$10 billion are stolen every year from Americans by online scammers. Every day, millions of people fall victim to online threats. Over 30 million spam calls are made per day in America, with over 50% of daily emails being considered spam. And that's not all. On average, over 40% of devices are vulnerable to hackers, and each person in America has 10 passwords stolen per year. Can you imagine having unrecoverable credit card debt? Your savings drained to zero, your home foreclosed on, your identity stolen and ruined, your entire life, poof, gone. Introducing Safe and Secure. With the advanced programs, you'll be able to stay in control and keep hackers out. Don't let the cyber criminals win. Safe and Secure. Shield against hackers and embrace peace of mind. Visit PadoxaSNS.com for more information and to learn how to keep yourself protected.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Hey, we're back here on the Joe Hoff Show. So happy to have my guest with me, especially on this Easter week. She's just fantastic, a great person, great Christian, great mom, and great at whatever she does. And I'm thrilled to have her with us again. None other than the great Liz Harrington. Liz, welcome to the Joe Hoff Show.
Hey, Joe, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on board. So you got big plans for the Easter weekend or no?
Just, the usual kind of low key family, big meal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But church, obviously.
Easter bunny.
I gotta figure out what I'm doing with the Easter baskets.
Yeah.
It's
there you go.
list.
That's so cute. That's so much fun. I went to church yesterday. Is that right? Yesterday, where my son goes to school, and I don't usually share this stuff on air, but this priest asked all the kids, something, and one of these little preschoolers answered the question, "Well, the Easter bunny," and the whole church just laughed. It was a good time of year for kids and for parents and families. So hope you have a great weekend. Anyways,
You
lots
too.
going on. Lots going on. I see a big story this week. I just talked some about it. Is this individual from a terrorist that gets sent back to El Salvador, and the left is fighting tooth and nail to get him back in the U.S. Sounds like, and it's another terrible political move by the left. What do you think of that one?
It's crazy. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I saw all these videos of Chris Van Hollen who sadly is one of my senators, who has never done anything for an actual constituent of his, who's actually legally here, an American citizen. I mean, what has he ever done? And yet he gets on a plane to go to El Salvador for a guy who's not even a citizen, but that's the least. I mean, honestly, it's almost the least of it, but it's so fundamental that he has no right to be here. I mean, regardless of it, he was the MS-13 gang member, stopped for human trafficking, written up for domestic violence. But he's just a Maryland father. And Joe, I think the buried lead here, which I saw Stephen Miller in that great interview where he just totally took it to Bill Hemmer and was like, sorry, everything you said was completely wrong, completely untrue. What Stephen Miller revealed there is that this whole story really kind of started because of a saboteur in the DOJ. One of their lawyers got before this left-wing judge and said, oh, you're right. I don't know how this guy ended up in El Salvador. I'm not sure. He was mistakenly. And Stephen Miller said, no, he wasn't. This was never a mistake. So that started this whole lie narrative. And that's all they need, right? They need one little lie. Because I was thinking about this. How could they possibly run with this? Get on a plane for a gang member illegally here who has no right to be here, who has no due process rights. But for all these different reasons, they don't care. They're doing it. I think they're doing it because it's this propaganda information war, and they'll just lie. They'll claim he's this innocent person who was wrongfully sent to, the Trump gulag. It's like, meanwhile, we actually had American citizens being sent to the gulag under the Biden regime. But this is insane. And they're doing all this. They don't care that, I mean, if you look at the story for 2 minutes, that this clearly none of the optics would be on their side. But there's something deeper going on because you have this DOJ lawyer who thankfully has been dismissed, seemingly working with this left-wing judge to start this whole lie of a narrative. And then they're still running with it. It's just amazing. I think they can get away with it, but haven't they learned that the truth is way more powerful? You have President Trump back in the Oval Office. That's proof all you need to know for that truth is more powerful than them.
I saw a clip, a guy on Twitter, just a kind of a rough guy, and he's cussing and stuff. But he makes all the sense in the world. He's like, what is this? Why are you standing up for this guy? He's a villain. He's vile. He's disgusting. He's not even an American. You want to bring him back, and this is how you're going to stand up? And he's like, you Democrats, everything you're doing is so stupid and opposite of what American people want. And it was actually pretty brilliant, a little rough, but brilliant. And just an average guy saying that. He was spot on. But then the senator of Maryland, he goes down there, and I'm like, I just don't it doesn't make any sense. The only, this is kind of like under Biden, nothing made any sense other than if you were wanting to destroy America and wanting to work with China and give it to China. If that was your goal, it made sense, which is treasonous, but this doesn't make any sense. Why is he going down there for this banger terrorist?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's pure, honestly, it's evil. It's totally insane. And that they think that this is the righteous cause. I mean, what planet are you living on? And they must either deluded themselves or they're just totally liars. I mean, both. But I mean, how can you go over there and know they just got crushed in the last election? And now their biggest, first it was, no, we have to keep the 120-year-olds on Social Security who don't exist. We have to have the federal employees who don't exist on the payroll. First, that was the hill they were dying on. And now they've upped the ante and they are going to bat for illegal alien gang members when they never even bothered to mention the horrific. You actually had a constituent who was murdered by an illegal alien. He was just convicted, and they had the mother at the briefing room yesterday. How tragic. This senator can't even mention her name, and yet he's going over to try to smuggle back one of his buddies, essentially, another disgusting gang member who has no right to be here. And even if he wasn't, hey, they all have to go. If we have the rule of law, and then you're gonna blanket yourself in the quote unquote rule of law, you're a disgrace. And we have to have the rule of law. All of these people have to go. They don't belong here. They do not respect our country. They do not respect our laws, clearly, because they think that they can just come on in and get our benefits illegally. No, this must end. And it's just insane. Like, you just got crushed in an election. So this is the same party, mind you, that they're going to pretend is surging. This is the same party that wins special elections, that haven't gone Democrat in 30 years. Give me a break. Another lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think I've been really, I guess maybe it's kind of finally hit me like on a soul level, a real deep level, that part of this country is communist. Because if you don't have an election and you can't change monsters that are in office that are destroying you, your family, your safety, your border, and your prosperity, and you can't vote them out, well, then, that's what communist regimes do. They steal the vote a couple times, make it so that nobody else can win, and then they destroy. And then, like somebody said to me, or I saw recently, it's like once they're in power, they're merciless. They just, the things they'll do, it will be so vile and disgusting. And I think states like California, Oregon, Washington, New York, there is no election process there that will ever allow for the real winner, I think. And that's the
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, you get this clown. That guy, that is so grotesque what he's doing. It's so against reality. It's evil.
And this is why this other big story that came out this week about Letitia James. Look, I love the irony, and isn't it so typical that every time they accuse you of something, they themselves are guilty of it, right? Of course, she's guilty of mortgage fraud, right? When she's falsely accusing President Trump of it, and trying to ruin his life and everything they did. But I frankly don't care. She's guilty, right? President and trying to they did. But care. And waiting down the pike that will step right into this corrupt system and do the exact same thing, because all they do is what they're told. No, what I'm far more interested in seeing her pay for is public corruption. And more importantly, her handlers. Who's really pulling the strings? That's what needs to be crushed. That's what needs to be exposed, and that's who needs to go to jail for. That's what we need. We don't need these. I mean, look, everybody should be accountable for anything. If she broke laws, fine. Get her for that too. But this is insane. You're not going to get any change by arresting Letitia James for mortgage fraud. You will get change for investigating and exposing the public corruption and conspiracy against the United States and the American people and trying to steal the election, stealing the 2020 election, and then, of course, trying to steal the 2024 election through lawfare and everything else. That whole thing was a conspiracy. It has to be exposed. I mean, that's just one of many, 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 many things that needs to be exposed and people need to be held accountable for. But I'm just so sick of, and we can't even do that. I mean, I guess they're not even going to go after her for this. I mean, who knows? I mean, it'd be great if they did. But when are we going to actually hold somebody accountable and just tell the American people the truth about what's been going on for the past several decades? When?
Amen. Well, you're so right. And I put up, by the way, I'll send you this after the show. I put up this piece yesterday on Adam Schiff. A year ago, we pointed out his mortgage fraud. He's claiming to be a citizen of California, and yet here he is over here.
I'm sure they all do
in
it.
Maryland.
It's part of the racket. I'm sure it's part of the racket.
And somebody sent me something this morning, this Jason Goodman from New York, who comes out with some great stuff sometimes. This was on Weissman. He's connected to I don't know if it's mortgage fraud, but he's got some property that's $7.5 million, again, on a government's salary, destroying President Trump. And it's tied to some guy that's tied to Jeffrey Epstein. But, here's the thing that I've heard on this property stuff that somebody brought up to me, and I don't know. I'm an auditor, though. I'd love to dig in there and find out, given the information. And this is how they pay people off. It's not cash in hand. It's through property, and they'll buy the property for them. They'll pay them the mortgage. Like Adam Schiff refied this property in Maryland about 4 or 5 times. You're wondering, why is he refining this stuff? And each time he says he's a citizen of Maryland, and yet he's not a citizen of Maryland. There we go, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. He's not a citizen. I put him in one of those orange jumpsuits, but he keeps refining it. Why would he need to keep refining this property? Why would he keep saying that he's from California, or not from California, that he's from Maryland as a citizen there, just like Letitia James did? I think there's something. That's the thing that we get quite often. It's a limited
not just
hangout.
That they lied about it.
Yeah,
what else is going on there?
Yeah, that's right. Limited hangout that she's got mortgage fraud. The real deal is she's getting paid off. There's some money flowing through here that we got to figure out how it's flowing through. And some people out in California have said, what's the cartels that are paying these people off like Schiff? They think it's all cartel.
It's the same thing through the universities. This Harvard story is blowing up, and President Trump has been putting out all these truths about it. And it's like, wait a second. Why are they hiring Bill de Blasio? At like this huge, ridiculous salary. Nobody wants to sit in that class. Like, this is another way they pay people off. I'm pretty sure one of the heads of security, the Capitol Police, ends up at University of Berkeley head security with a huge salary. That's how they do it. They do it. This is bribery and money laundering in plain sight. And the real sick thing is they're doing it with our money. I mean, they're not even having to use this dark money or George Soros money. No, they get it back through the taxpayers. I mean, Harvard has a $50 billion endowment, and yet they still get $9 billion of our money. Is this a joke? I mean, it's sick, and they use it with book deals, the universities, what you're talking about, I'm sure as well. They're paying off people in plain sight. Same with the judges. They always have a family member working for these NGOs or a nonprofit or a campaign outfit, and it's right there. And then you wonder, they don't have high salaries. I mean, it's not like they're destitute, but they shouldn't have 3 mansions like Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Like, they shouldn't have all of these properties. The money is being moved around, and that's what's going on. And that's what needs to be exposed and ended. Because I'm just so sick of the just sitting here waiting for something big to be exposed and do something about it, because they're going to go right back to it. They're doing it right now. They haven't stopped. They're not scared anymore. I mean, it's just, there has to be accountability. There has to be.
Yeah, it's outrageous what's going on. It's just outrageous. I wonder how many more clever ideas there are, and it's all our money that's getting thrown around, and we sit back. I tell you what, some of the greatest stuff that's come out here over the last year. One, Mike Benz, that guy just drops bombs every day. Stuff I never knew. He's clarifying a lot for me, kind of putting the pieces together. He brought up a piece, for example, that Bill Clinton, or maybe through the Clinton administration, was a memo that went out. Maybe you saw this, that went out from a member of his State Department that said from now on, keep the UK, somebody else, and George Soros involved in all communications related to one of these topics. It's like, what's going on there? That's that when Soros came in and started running this country. Because to me, that's what it feels like. This feels like and looks like to me the stories I've seen about Nazi Germany. These people are ruthless. They're not dumb, but they destroy the media. They push propaganda. The media is a big part of it. That's why they hate anybody that shares the truth, because that's the enemy, is the truth. They don't want freedom of speech. And then, and then they start doing stuff that's just, you can't even believe what's going on. And I guess in Hitler's case, it was build an army after saying they wouldn't. And these guys in the US, they're doing a great job of destroying everything here. It seems to me real fascist, all that's going on. I guess communist as well.
Yeah. Well, and they have complete control of the media, the mainstream media, if you still use that term or whatever, the fake news.
Yeah.
They have complete control. I'm so happy that they had to sit there and listen to Rachel Morin's mother yesterday. And they couldn't even ask a question. But how pathetic. I mean, you see someone like Caitlin Collins in the Oval Office just going to bat for this gang member. It's insane. And President Trump's like, these are sick people, and he's exactly right. It's like, take a step back and listen to yourself for a second. Like, what are you talking about? You're just gnashing your teeth for this. Like, you think, but that's how I know that they're just totally used and they don't think for themselves or do anything, because you would think if you're going to go to bat for what we've already told you is an MS-13 gang member, you would do all the due diligence and actually look at this guy. Is he an upstanding dad? Is he any of these things? They don't even care. They're just doing what they're told to. And they're completely controlled. I mean, how do you get that way? I don't understand. It's truly sad to see somebody standing in there and just hurling all these questions. And President Trump is like, wouldn't it be nice? Like, why don't you say, hey, yes, we're cleaning up our country and we're getting the criminals out. Isn't that a good thing for everyone? No, that's never going to happen. But that's, again, why this system needs to be crushed and exposed, because they're not going to change. They're not going to they're going to keep running, and it gets worse and worse. I mean, the first term, it was the Russia hoax, right? And I mean, you can't get much sinister than that when you really think about how diabolical it was. But now they're to the point where their hoaxes are just literally shilling for MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, domestic abusers who don't live here, by the way. Their home is El Salvador. Maryland is not his home. I love how they put it. Caroline Levitt was like, he's been hiding out in Maryland. It's not his home. It's crazy, but that's where they're at now. So it used to be like, can't we all agree that Russia's bad? And at least they had some sort of, moral high ground they could pretend to have. Now it's just, no, we're for the gang members who are here illegally. Screw you if you're, the poor schmuck who's working hard and lives in Maryland legally and is an American citizen. Nah, we don't ever ask a question on your behalf, but we will go to El Salvador to try to illegally take who's working hard is an American. Nah, good question. We will go to try.
Kidnap him from El Salvador, because the only way to get him out of there is kidnap him, bring him up here. And you think El Salvador is going to be okay with that? And like they want to release him from prison. No, it's great. Miller's been great. By the way, you mentioned
He's
the girl
fantastic.
in the White House. In the past, did you ever do that? Stand in front of the press and answer questions like that?
Hmm.
Not so much.
I don't think I did. No, I don't think I
But
have.
you were such a great mouthpiece for President Trump.
Oh,
Right
thanks.
after the election was really kind of when you stepped in, right?
Yeah, well, it was June 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. You were fantastic then. And I look back at that as you were talking about this Caroline Levitt, um, how great you were. And those were tough times. Had the media, Biden, this massive push down on good Americans, blaming us for January 6th, saying the election was legitimate. Joe Biden got 80, Sleepy Joe got 81 million votes and all that. Um, you were so good then. And
Oh,
I'm looking
thank you.
back at that, seeing the stuff now. It's still a tough job, but man, you were there. You were there when the heat was on, and you did so great there. That's the thing that I've always just admired about you. You just so solid, never
Yeah, for every question.
always. Yeah.
And then Corinne Jean-Pierre. I mean, how embarrassing. Um, I mean, if you're even comparing, like, look at all the press secretaries President Trump has had, and then look at those people. It's like, it's
Oh,
embarrassing.
well, it's
It's,
just there was no truth there. Saki was in.
yeah.
If she didn't have a lie, then she's saying I'll have to circle back, and you're like, what's going on? This guy, I heard Lavette, this girl in there now. She doesn't have a. She might have a binder, but she doesn't never uses it. It's all up here. She
Yeah, she
just remembers it.
said, yes, she said she doesn't use it. So I think she like brings a couple notes or something, but
Yeah.
I mean, but it's hard to do because you don't know what you're getting asked, and it's a huge government, and someone asks some random question, it's like you gotta who knows? So it's impressive, but
Yeah, and it's good to see too that there's now conservatives allowed in there too.
yeah,
More.
that's
I don't think
one.
it's
I think they're doing a good job on changing that, but I still feel like they need to limit anybody going on CNN. I mean, it's just an Intel operated fake
yeah,
news network.
yeah, yeah.
It's pure propaganda. But I will say, as it comes to accountability, because I don't think we've spoken since all this happened with the Chris Krebs announcement, and Tulsi Gabbard coming out and saying that they have information about the voting machines manipulating votes. That is huge, and they need to keep running with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just praying it's not just a one-off, that nothing, like, something has to come of this, and the DOJ better investigate and
Mm,
expose that, with Krebs and everything else, because that's
mm,
huge. I mean, and that was a
mm,
great executive order. I think it just
mm,
shows President Trump is committed to getting accountability. He
mm.
said it. He's like, we're going to find out if this was a secure election, if this was a safe election. And if it
Yeah,
wasn't, you're in trouble. And there
yeah.
should be, I mean, that was so obviously a manipulated operation out of CISA to say this was the most secure election in history when everyone saw. I mean, you have better run elections in the Middle East, in Afghanistan. This was
Mm,
the most fraudulent election
mm,
we had ever seen,
mm,
with our own eyes. And that's the least of it. And then since all the evidence we uncovered that proved that the election was electronically manipulated in multiple states, we proved all these things. And so that needs to be exposed. People need to be held accountable and use that as a way to fix our elections. Because like you're saying, like, these states, their elections are so crooked. How do you can't outvote them? You can't,
mm. No,
you can't do it, but you
no.
can if you change the voting system and get common sense and make it
Mm,
fair. That's how
yeah.
you can. I mean, and then can you imagine what the election results would be in states like California or
Oh,
New York if you had a fair vote? I
yeah.
mean, people would be shocked because those places are not far left. They're not.
That's right. Yeah. Did you see the report that I came out with a couple weeks ago on Orange County? We
I
did a
think
study.
so.
We did this,
Yes.
this exercise. 1 out of 5 voters, actually more than 1 out of 5, were either non-citizens, um, invalid, or phantom voters. 1 out of 5. It's basically there's no support for these voters, you know?
And you're talking about
And
elections that a lot of times, if it's a landslide, it's like 5 points, 10 points. A lot of times in California, it's hundreds of votes. I mean,
yeah,
you're talking about, 20% of the vote is fraudulent and they still can barely win.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
it's
that
insane.
county's huge too. It's the 6th largest county in the U.S. It's 1.8 million people on their voter rolls. They sent out 2.1 million ballots. They, uh,
It's a
so
travesty.
it's just, there's just anomalies all the way through it. And then we see this, and we're like, well, my God, my God. And yet you got these people that are saying, oh, the election's fine here. It's like, who did that in a movie? Maybe it was an airplane movie. Everything's fine here. Everything's fine. It's, getting blown up behind them, but airplane or something. Yeah. Anyways, that's what we're seeing. We've got to fix that. We've got to fix it. So, anyways, Liz, I tell you what, it's great having you every time here. How can people reach out to you and follow you?
I'm on X or Truth Social at Real Liz USA.
Yeah, great. I go there often. Thanks so much for everything, Liz. Really
Always good to
appreciate
see
it.
you.
And
And everyone have a
you
great
too.
Easter.
You too. Yeah, have a great time. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for being here. It's another great Holy Thursday. We'll thank you. Great. We'll see.